Okay, hi, this is Teresa France here. I am on my podcast and I'm with Chief Kays, and we're also doing a live video here to highlight some of the changes that have even come down. Every day it's changing, every day.
Yes.
And so we want to talk about that. First, I want to thank you. Thank you so much for all of the information that you shared and all of the information that has been brought into awareness for our community. That's huge. And I know it's in a collaboration with you and about, I don't know what, 7 other guys that are working.
It is. It's the police department, the sheriff's office, the county emergency manager, Jim Shelton, the city of Watonga emergency manager, and fire chief Robert Doherty. Some citizens have really stepped up, and we thank you, Teresa France, and the chamber, although you're not with the chamber anymore.
I still am, though. I'm still doing some work.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're going to keep you busy, so you won't be busy anymore.
I'm doing some volunteer hours. How's that?
Yeah. Yes, you are.
Oh, gosh. So we had some stuff come down today, some things that we thought we wanted to talk about. I mean, first and foremost, which you highlighted and touched base on that last night with the governor's declaration to what we're going to mandate now in our communities, all 77 counties. So what is that going to look like for us here in Watonga, Oklahoma?
The all businesses, non-essential, are to close.
Okay.
All essential businesses can stay open, but they have to adapt to or innovate to the no more than 10 people, individuals gathering.
Okay.
So if you are an essential business, you have to figure out a way to conduct your service without violating that order.
Okay.
That executive order.
And so I know you posted this on your video last night, but we're going to also talk about it today. You can find that on Oklahoma Commerce, that list of essential businesses, but you can go in more in depth to get more descriptive on what was that, the
Department of Homeland Security, yes.
And that's CISA.gov/publication. So I'll also add that website once we get all of this together on this podcast and also on the live that we're doing as well. So that's very important. And so what steps are going to be taken if these businesses don't adhere to the guidelines, Shawn?
If they don't, then they could be charged with a misdemeanor.
Okay.
And further actions could be taken.
Okay.
It depends. We would like, and we're very fortunate that there have been a lot of business owners that have taken these actions before.
Right.
And made proper adjustments and arrangements before. And so we're very fortunate of that.
Right.
If anybody is, what we're going to do is just make sure that businesses are abiding. If they don't, we will educate them and help them find a way to work around this.
Okay, so I think we had maybe we were doing a little research on if it was a misdemeanor or felony or something like that. And I think we're still a little unclear on all of that guidelines. It looks like it's a misdemeanor, but nobody wants that on their record, right? I mean, let's
It's definitely the to violate the safer at home. Definitely a misdemeanor. It is, I believe, a misdemeanor.
Okay. So that is something that in a small town like Watonga, we certainly want to protect our community. Some of the numbers that we were getting once this is all over with it's pretty alarming. So we don't want to do anything that's going to harm our neighbors for sure. And one thing I know that the chamber does and the chamber will continue to do is if a business wants to go online and start doing their shopping that way, I know that the chamber is willing to share that information on social media, and we also have the mobile club, so we're willing to help all of the businesses.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and the police department, we don't want to have to give somebody a citation,
Right.
or close a business
Absolutely.
because they're not abiding by it.
Mhm.
We'd rather take the approach to educate
Mhm.
and advise and help.
Right.
Which
Which is what you guys are
Yeah,
for.
which
You
is
want
what
to
we're doing,
enforce
yeah.
those things.
Because we want them to stay open, we want them to operate and be as productive as they can be
Yes.
during this crisis,
Mhm.
because we're all already gonna
And
be
we're
in a
in
bind.
this, and we're in this together.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we're all in this together. And there are
So-
some great resources out there. I have posted them on the chamber page for the PPP, for the paycheck protection program. So there's things like that out
I still
there.
have to shop too.
Yeah, we all
So
do.
if we close down a business or something like that because they're not abiding, it affects us too.
It totally
And
affects.
it affects everybody.
Yeah.
So we'd rather take that approach than to just,
Right.
you know.
So let's talk about our good friend Donnie at Parks and Recreations. We just got off the phone with him, and one thing that we definitely want to, we can't shut down the parks. He said if they were gated, he would have already shut them down, but unfortunately we cannot. And he says, if there's no gatherings more than 10, there's nobody's gonna really be told anything. However, if they're playing on playground equipment, he does warn that that is where that virus can lie, and it can lie there for a while.
Right.
And so if you're on those, toys or whatever, you have a greater chance of picking up that virus.
Right.
And so there's no way for our city to clean it,
Right.
and it would take a ton of manpower. So
Yeah.
the best approach to take is just don't do it.
Just don't do it.
Just don't do it.
Stay at home.
So tell me about a curfew that you guys have talked about.
Okay, so the city of Watonga has had a curfew for juveniles, and also the parks has a curfew.
Right. What is that? 12 a.m. to 6 a.m., right?
Yes,
Okay.
and so that's always been in effect for juveniles. What we discussed this morning in the emergency response team that was developed to combat this virus, the sheriff's office doing a countywide curfew for everybody.
Okay.
And so I believe it was suggested 10 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Okay.
Countywide, and just stay at home. And violators, of course, if you're going to work,
Sure.
have something you have to do, then you won't be violating it. But if you're just out prowling around or moving around,
We got some problems, don't we?
we have some problems because the crime trend does change, for one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the break-ins will go up on businesses and possibly the farmers,
Mm-hmm.
and but at the same time it helps combat the virus because you're not
Absolutely.
out and about.
Right.
And so countywide curfew for everybody unless doing something essential
Countywide curfew.
is what's being suggested.
And I think that's a great idea. I really do. I feel like that's going to help us like you said, flatten that curve. So
I think it's a great
I
idea.
do too.
I mean, and I've got to give credit to the sheriff because
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
sheriff
That's great.
is the one that suggested and has spoken with the commissioners and is speaking with the judge and the DA,
Mhm.
and he'll get back
With us on that.
with us on that.
Perfect.
So,
So thank you, Tony Almaguer, for
Yeah.
working that through and getting it to the necessary levels to get that enacted.
we should have known by Monday.
Absolutely. So tell me about their library. I know that you were on the phone with Terry. What all did she say?
They are closed to the public, but they still are operating normal days and time. If you call and let her know if you need any of her services, they're still down there, and they'll help you any way that they can. Let them know if you're getting a book or you need the printer or something, because she's been really good with printing signs out for us, for the
Right.
public. And so just call and they'll
Help us out?
help, but their door is locked.
Okay, so on that note of helping the public, on that database that's for the community that we have built and are continually getting information on, we do have, you know, do you need signage and that sort of thing. So just to know that you can have that printed, if you don't have a printer at home, you can actually, and if you are in need of a sign that says, yes, am I diabetic, whatever. And I'll put that link on this as well, on this site as well, once we're completed. So you have that resource at the Watonga Library to have that information printed.
When we printed, or when we put up the signs on the community action, the police department community action Facebook page, there's all types of signs.
I loved it. It was so good.
Yeah, to let us know if you have a medical issue or anything, immune system.
And it may seem like we're, being a little overly cautious, but you know what? We are proactive, and that's what we have to be to combat this horrible disease.
That's
illness.
That's the biggie.
That is the biggie. So proactiveness.
Be proactive, and take these preventative measures that have been pushed from the beginning that some people...
So we're not reactive, so we're going to be proactive.
We are being, as much as we can.
Right,
yes.
right, absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about the hospital and some of the things that are we're working through right now. Okay,
so the Watonga Mercy Hospital said that they would see somebody if they were in critical. They would test
in an emergency
for the virus.
But not to just come to the emergency room if you have a sniffle or if you've brought in a fever or anything like that. You really have to be more in a critical state.
Before they would test if you had symptoms, but now it's critical?
I think because there's limited supply of the kits.
Okay.
So it's more of, so what we need to do is we need to call that hotline, and there are drive-through testing sites available. We're going to have that site listed also. Once we have this video completed, we'll put that out there as well.
Yeah.
So that's very proactive. So a question, these essential businesses that are staying open, what types of, I hate to use the word paraphernalia, but what types of cleaning or germicide paraphernalia should they have available for their patrons?
Well, they don't have to have any if they don't want to.
But what should they as a good...
They suggest, the CDC suggests, first, washing your hands with antibacterial soap, 20 seconds. But any type of, if you can't, hand sanitizer with 60% alcohol in it, to at least wipe down your hands. I don't see, because there's hardly any out there, mask, gloves, or anything like that going out. So at least if they can, some wipes, or provide them access to wash their hands.
I will tell you, I was at a local business here and handed her my credit card, and she handed it back to me with a Clorox wipe. And I thought that is such good standard of business, because she's wanting to protect you as her customer.
Keep the Clorox?
I did.
Oh, wow.
I kept the Clorox wipe, and when I went to get fuel, I used it again.
Yeah. Well, they have money though.
Yeah, those gas handles are full of germs. So
supplies like hand sanitizer is
limited.
Yeah, very, if not depleted. So it's hard.
Absolutely.
And those Clorox wipes and stuff like that, it's getting hard to find.
Yeah, they are getting very, very hard to find. A couple of other things I wanted to talk about. The declaration that was made here in our community on the 31st, still in place.
Yes.
Obviously, now with a new recommendation from the governor for all 77 counties, the 30-day slow the spread of the disease, that the Surgeon General, who has really pushed for all across the United States, and that 30 days is staying safer at home. So there was some projected numbers that are big. He said when all of this is said and done, we're looking at 240,000 deaths across the United States. That's a huge number, and that is if we do it all correctly.
Yeah.
If we do it all correctly, that's the projected number.
Yeah.
So this is no joke. This 30 days to slow the spread is incredibly important. We'll put that link on here as well so that you can see those instructions that were provided by the Surgeon General. And one other thing I was going to mention, the businesses, the business directory that we're constantly updating. So this initially started out with just our essential businesses here in town. It has grown, and it continue to evolve and change. So if you don't see your business listed, don't be alarmed. It's something that we're continually building upon. It's not that we've forgotten you or anything like that. It's just this was essential businesses in the beginning. So we're talking hospitals, banks, those types of things, restaurants. And so now we're starting to include some of those others. But again, from the mandate that our governor set out, it's just essential businesses
It
that we really need.
changes every day something.
Yeah.
Every day something changes. Whether there's an amendment or, the hospital. I mean, every day it's something new. Something that's constantly changing. So something new every day. So, but we're tracking. The team is meeting every day at 11. We met twice yesterday.
Right.
I mean, staying on top of it.
I know you guys are, and I want to say thank you to this group of guys that are working on that. Also want to remind people they can sign up on the alert text group. I'll send that out also with this link, so just instructions of how you can do that. And we're going to share information pretty much daily on that.
Okay.
And if we have inclement weather, we're also going to be sharing that. And you talked about the storm shelters last night, so.
I can mention them again if you want me to.
We just have local places, and you guys are gonna have the beaming lights wherever they're at, if there is. Just need a plan, people need a plan.
Have a plan, don't wait for the tornado warning.
Right.
To figure out what you're gonna do. Have a safety plan.
Have a safety plan,
And prepare.
Yeah.
Because it's different this year because we're combating the virus while entering into tornado season. So
wouldn't it be smart if somebody had like a packet that they would take with them that would have masks, gloves, those types of items that would protect your family in the event you have to go to a large area where you're surrounded by people.
Or your neighbors.
Or your neighbors, absolutely.
You want to have protective equipment if you're going to be down in a storm shelter with your neighbor, because you don't know if you have it or carrying the virus or if they are.
Right.
So you want to have it anyway. You especially want to have it if you're coming to one of the public shelters where it's going to be a larger congregation of people. So what we're going to do is the police department will open up the elementary school. Yes, we'll have lights on so you can see. It'll be opened when there's a tornado warning. The sheriff's office is going to open up the high school, and then there is the First Baptist Church and the First Christian Church that's going to open as well. And if you go into these public shelters, you're going to want to be protected.
Absolutely.
But I have a plan. Get with your neighbors, see if they have one. Neighbors who have one, get with
absolutely.
Neighbors that don't, and just don't wait, And
again, don't be reactive, be proactive.
Yeah.
So, Shawn, How can somebody get a hold of you if they have a question about their business, if it's deemed essential, if they need signage or something for their business, to know that they're an essential business, et cetera, et cetera? How can they reach you, the police department, or who, the city of Watonga, that sort of thing?
Through you.
So the Watonga Chamber does have an app and does have a website that has a list of all the businesses and essential phone numbers and websites.
Well, if a business believes that they might be violating the order, call 580-623-7355, which is the non-emergency police department phone line.
Okay.
And be glad to speak with them or come down to their location to make sure that they're not violating anything. And we will help them, walk them through this.
Okay.
And I know that you will too.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I actually have the chamber phone at my house. Even though I'm not with the chamber, I'm still.
You don't think you are.
I'm
But
volunteering my hours, and we're always happy to help in any way we can. And Chief Kays, I want to thank you so much for all you do for the city of Watonga and the emergency response team. Thank you guys so much for what you're doing. I know this is a thankless job in many ways, but your service is so very, very much appreciated. And so here again, we're in small town USA. We got to love on each other and really appreciate one another. So
the emergency managers, they are working hard, trying to get us aid. I wanted to mention that if you are feeling any types of symptoms, to call the 211 or the 877-215-8336 hotline for the Covid19. It's 24 hours.
Great.
And they'll walk you through whatever you need. The Blaine County emergency manager, Jim Shelton, is trying his best and is working very hard to get a drive-through testing here.
perfect.
Yeah.
That would
To
be
get a
so
drive-through
perfect.
testing here. To get everybody who thinks they may have been exposed or is feeling symptoms.
Right.
Feeling symptoms anyway. I say exposed, but I do have the form, and they are asking if you go through drive-through. There's the form. Can you maybe post
Absolutely.
the form?
I sure can.
Because they will only test one person in the car. You have to be over the age of 18, I believe, as of right now, and feeling shortness of breath or wheezing and have a fever. So
Okay. So there's a lot of
the governor yesterday said if you think you've been exposed, get tested. And there's guidelines on the drive-through testing the day before.